Sony shutting down Bluepoint Games is one of those stories that stops you mid-scroll because this isn't some unknown support studio or a team with a shaky track record. This is Bluepoint, a studio that for years quietly became synonymous with quality, polish, and respect for gaming history. When people talked about remakes being done the right way, Bluepoint was always the example. And now we're talking about Sony closing the doors on them, which raises a lot of uncomfortable questions about where PlayStation is heading and what kind of studios are actually safe in today's industry. Bluepoint Games built its reputation by doing something that sounds simple but is actually incredibly hard. They took beloved games and rebuilt them with care, technical excellence, and a deep understanding of what made the original special in the first place. This wasn't just about prettier graphics or higher resolutions. Their work on titles like Shadow of the Colossus, Demon Souls, and the Nathan Drake collection showed an almost obsessive attention to detail. Animations felt tight, controls felt modern without losing their identity, and the atmosphere of these games were preserved rather than overwritten. Bluepoint didn't try to fix these games by turning them into something else, they elevated them. What makes this shutdown sting even more is that Bluepoint was officially part of PlayStation Studios. Sony acquired them, praised their talent, and positioned them as a key piece of PlayStation's future. For a lot of fans, that acquisition felt like a seed of approval and a promise of more high quality projects down the line. Instead, what we're seeing now is the opposite, a studio with a proven track record being cut loose as part of a broader business decision. That's not just sad, it's worrying because if a studio like Bluepoint isn't safe, then who is? The broader context here matters. The video game industry has been going through wave after wave of layoffs, cancellations, and studio closures, even among companies that are still profitable. Big publishers are reevaluating projects, pulling back from long development cycles, and reacting to rising costs and changing market expectations. In that environment, studios that don't have a massive ongoing live service hit can suddenly find themselves vulnerable no matter how respected they are. Bluepoint, despite its talent, was still largely dependent on being assigned projects rather than owning a long running franchise of its own. There's also the uncomfortable reality that remakes and remasters, while beloved by fans, don't always fit nearly into long term corporate strategies. They're often seen as safe bets creatively, but not always as growth drivers compared to new IP or live service games designed to generate recurring revenue. And that creates a tension because some of the most critically acclaimed PlayStation experiences of the last decade came from exactly the kind of work Bluepoint specialized in. Losing a studio like this sends a message that craftsmanship and legacy alone might not be enough anymore. For players, the loss of Bluepoint isn't just about one studio closing, it's about what we won't get in the future. It's about the remakes that will never happen, the classic games that won't get the care and attention they deserve, and the unique role Bluepoint played as a bridge between gaming past and its present. They helped preserve important pieces of gaming history in a way that felt premium and respectful, and that's not something every studio can or wants to do. This also feeds into a larger conversation about PlayStation's identity. For a long time, Sony was known for its strong single player experiences, its willingness to invest in polished, story driven games, and its stable of highly respected studios. When we see decisions like this, it naturally makes fans wonder whether the identity is shifting, and if so, what it's shifting toward. Is PlayStation becoming more risk aware, more focused on fewer bigger bets? Or is it just another symptom of an industry that's struggling to balance creativity with escalating budgets? At the end of the day, people most affected by this are the developers themselves, talented artists, programmers, designers, and engineers who poured years of their lives into making games better, sharper, and more accessible for new generations. Studio closures aren't just headlines, they're real careers disrupted and real creative voices being scattered. And that's something worth acknowledging every time we talk about these stories. If you enjoyed this video and found it informative, make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and ring that notification bell so you don't miss any future uploads. And if you want to support the channel even more, check out my Patreon, where the latest exclusive is a deep review of Resident Evil 4 and how that game completely changed the direction of the franchise. Your support helps keep this channel going, and lets me keep making content like this. Until next time, game on.